Now, it seems a day after day the state's corruption watchdog is in the headlines, whether it's about Brian Burke or, in yesterday's case, another charge over an alleged multi-million-dollar scam. But the government wants to give the Corruption and Crime Commission a new focus, organised crime, and that's people like bikies, launderers, and money launderers, that is, and drug dealers. But there's stiff opposition even from within the government, and the changes have seen delay after delay. Here's Jake Sturmer.
Perth may not be the home of mafia crime bosses like the fictional Tony Soprano, and the state government wants to keep it that way. This is police preparing to raid one of 20 houses as part of a sweeping crackdown on bikie gangs earlier this year. It's claimed the CCC could provide information for raids like this if it was given enhanced powers.
Please, search warrant!
These raids netted drugs, cash, weapons and ammunition. But there's concern among the political classes that having the Corruption and Crime Commission investigate serious and organised crime as well as alleged police misbehaviour could compromise its independence.
None of the evidence suggested that it was a good idea.
That was Liberal MP Nick Goran in September last year, after the powerful parliamentary committee which he chairs called for the government to scrap those planned changes. The committee is made up of 4 politicians, both Labor and Liberal, and not one supported the government's plan.
It requires you to actually wrestle with the issues and consider them on their merits rather than necessarily what your party may or may not want to do.
The response from government was that it would take the committee's findings on board, but the planned changes would still go ahead.
And so we said we need to brace ourselves for this new frontier.
That new frontier, combining crime and police investigations, was considered in June when the parliamentary committee looked at the corruption risks of police stings. It found the CCC wasn't proactive enough in overseeing the use of controlled operations. The Parliamentary Inspector, Christopher Statler QC, has made critical findings of his own. Mr Statler found there was a serious problem with the way the CCC handled reports of police brutality. He found that of 381 serious allegations, only 1 had been independently investigated. That one case was the Kevin Spratt matter.
You understand?
The CCC's parliamentary inspector had previously warned any organised crime fighting role could compromise the CCC's independence when there were already concerns that serious complaints against police were not being independently investigated. The CCC's response to the inspector's report was that the agency didn't have the resources to investigate every complaint.
Is your last chance? Wrong, what?
The CCC has already been used to successfully prosecute members of organised crime.
I require you to answer the question and give a truthful answer to it.
No comment. Get off.
5 bikie gang members were jailed after being found guilty of contempt of the CCC for refusing to answer questions at a secret inquiry about a fight with a rival gang. Right now, the CCC can effectively only bring people in after an incident, making it reactive rather than proactive.
But it's one thing to give the police an easier access to the CCC. That's a good thing. It's another thing to say the CCC needs to work in concert with the police investigating organised crime.
For his part, the state's Attorney-General says the shift in direction of the CCC is yet to be approved by Cabinet, so he's not talking about the proposed changes. Neither is the Police Commissioner, he says, because it's a matter for government. And the CCC also doesn't want to go public because it says it doesn't have a full-time commissioner, a position that's been vacant since January when Len Roberts-Smith stepped down.
All rise.
So who would want the job of running a new beefed-up agency, which critics say could be dysfunctional? It's understood the government's preferred candidate, District Court Judge Roger McNay, has been endorsed by the Parliamentary Committee, and the decision rests with Cabinet to confirm his appointment as the next Commissioner. It's expected he'll now have a say in shaping any changes to the CCC Act.
Tinkering at the edges is not the right response. It needs root and branch reform.
One man who feels the CCC needs more than just minor changes is former senior public servant Mike Allen. He wants it to be more accountable.
It's been more than a year since Mike Allen was drawn into what's become known as the Smiths Beach affair.
That was in 2008, after Mr Allen had been accused and then cleared of wrongdoing in his dealings with Brian Burke over the Smiths Beach development. The then parliamentary inspector described the CCC's investigation as inadequate and unfair.
It's something that actually just never goes away. The rest of your life is actually affected to a degree because you've been involved with this, because they found that you had engaged in misconduct. Notwithstanding, there was absolutely no evidence to support that.
I've yet to find a perfect human being. I've yet to find a perfect government body.
Labor MP John Hyde was involved in the drafting of the initial legislation in 2003 and believes an increase in scrutiny has led to more exposure of the CCC's failings.
What is important is that we have checks and balances and transparent opportunities so as when mistakes are made or when people want to allege that mistakes have been made, that these can be made publicly in exactly the same way that people feel that they have been aggrieved.
Mike Allen is looking for more than a public acknowledgement of mistakes made. He's considering suing the CCC for damages.
We're going through the process of the Supreme Court action to try and see if we can get hold of documents which may then allow us to take action.
But whatever the verdict in the courts and the growing criticism from within both sides of politics, the government appears determined to push through its changes. For Mike Allen, the damage has already been done. And his wife Beth, who stood by her husband throughout the entire process, would like some changes of her own.
And it can't be fixed up. It has to be buried in the deepest sea you can find. That's what needs to happen to it. And it's created a monster.
Jake Sturmer reporting there.